All right, so what we've got here today is I'm going to be comparing a bunch of Surrati fragrances with the original fragrances that they're inspired by Gissah. All right, so obviously you know that I have this bottle already, which is Surrati's Atlantis. This is like their interpretation on Gissah's, what is it, Horizon. But I also went ahead and picked up several other Surrati fragrances, and these were all picked up from Banneter Fragrance. So I have here Omniyat, which is like their take on Gissah's La Luna. I have Dolce Marina, which is their take on Capri from Gissah. I have Pink Mist, which is their take on Gissah's Elora. I've got Honey Oud, which is their take on Hudson Valley from Gissah. And then I've also got Dream Valley, which is obviously their take on Gissah's Imperial Valley. So I was able to, pick up all of these samples pretty much. And I would say really the best site to pick up Gissah samples from would definitely be raresense.com. They are located in Australia, so if unless you're located in Australia, you are gonna have to kind of deal with the international shipping. But I mean, it seems like they are pretty good. I want to say my first order that I ordered from them, which was the Imperial Valley, the Horizon, and Nexus, that got here in under 2 weeks. And then the second order that I did, which was Elora, the Hudson Valley, and then La Luna and Capri. These took a little bit longer. I think some of that had to do with like the holiday. I'm not sure, but it took a little bit over 2 weeks for me to get these. But none of these leaked or anything like that, and neither did the first order. So really, really happy with raresense.com. Like I said, I would definitely recommend that you check them out if you're looking for samples of, these Gissah fragrances. All right. So just to get started, I'm going to start off with comparing Imperial Valley with the Dream Valley. And basically the Dream Valley versus Imperial Valley, the best way for me to kind of describe the differences between the two fragrances are Imperial Valley is going to smell like the more kind of natural smelling fragrance. It is a little bit brighter, a little bit more sort of like aromatic, whereas the Dream Valley for sure smells slightly more kind of synthetic. It does smell slightly sweeter than what Imperial Valley does, but I would definitely say that this doesn't smell nearly as sweet as something like French Avenue Sultan the Founder. So that I think was probably like the sweetest interpretation of Imperial Valley that I've smelled so far. It was like the sweetest and most densest version. And it definitely, it made the scent smell totally different, the way that particular fragrance came across. Whereas with this does still smell very kind of like, bright and fresh, but just not as bright and fresh as what Imperial Valley does. So like, for instance, I would say Imperial Valley, that I would still probably wear even out here in Vegas, like in the daytime, in the summer. Whereas the Dream Valley, maybe I would more so kind of wait until like late evening, in basically the nighttime to wear the Dream Valley, because it is going to be, a slightly more thicker, denser, heavier type of scent than what, the original Imperial Valley is. And, I would say also too, the main things that you notice like in the initial opening is the citruses in Imperial Valley are definitely a little bit more natural smelling and higher quality. All right. Now, as for the note breakdown between the two fragrances, for Imperial Valley, you have in the top notes Sicilian bergamot, pink pepper, Divana. In the mid, you have oud, white amber, and rosemary. And then in the base, you have leather, musk, and Haitian vetiver. Now for Dream Valley, you have in the top notes bergamot, lemon, and mint. In the mid, you have rose, jasmine, and orange blossom. And then in the base, you have amber, musk, and sandalwood. So, like I said, this is still a very good interpretation. I do feel like this does, it is closer to the original than what something like How Is Fire is. It definitely, to me, smells better than, you know, what, again, the Sultan, the founder, does from French Avenue. And then, you know, when compared to something like Art Al Zafran's Lawan, this fragrance, to me, is definitely closer to the original. And it's closer because it still emphasizes you know, that oud that's in the original fragrance, as well as that leathery note that you get that's pretty prominent. How Was Fire to me was a lot lighter on like the oud and the leather than, you know, what this is. So I mean, some people may like that, but I think if you're looking for a closer interpretation that's just a tad bit sweeter, a tad bit more synthetic than the original, then I do think that, you know, Dream Valley is a really good, you know, interpretation. Performance on this is also pretty good as well. So performance, you're talking over 12 hours of longevity and really, really good projection for like the first 3 hours or so. So again, that one was Dream Valley from Surrati. All right, so the next one is Pink Mist from Surrati. And so this was their take on, Elora from Gissah. Now, the note breakdown on Elora is going to be in the top notes. You get cherry and grapefruit. In the mid, you get iris and orange blossom. And then in the base, you get caramel, saffron, and leather. Now, for Pink Mist, you get bergamot, blackcurrant, and strawberry in the top notes. In the mid, you get rose, jasmine, and freesia. And then in the base, you get vanilla, musk, and cedarwood. And when smelling these two side by side, like, you can definitely tell that, you know, Pink Mist is, you know, like you could say like a interpretation sort of Elora. But to me, this and Elora, outside of like the initial like opening spray, they do start to smell, you know, pretty different. But I could still tell that, you know, this was definitely supposed to be, you know, Elora. When you first spray on Elora, the sort of fruitiness that you get from Elora is not going to be as prominent as what it is in the Pink Mist. So Pink Mist is definitely going to be, you know, a lot more, you know, fruitier, sweeter. And I mean, really, I would say that's kind of the theme with all of these Surrati fragrances compared to the Gissah, is all of the Surrati fragrances seem to be, you know, noticeably sweeter than the Gissah. And yeah, I mean, you get that, you know, sort of fruity, sweet opening with the cherry and the grapefruit in Elora. But then, like, I would say probably after about 15 seconds or so, it immediately starts to change. And I mean, you do still kind of get that fruitiness in the background, but as far as what I can tell, this starts to lean really, really heavily into like the saffron and the leather. And it smells very kind of like oudy to me. Like, this definitely smells, Elora, it smells like it has oud in it. Even though it's not in the note breakdown, that's really what it smells like to me. It's like it has a very kind of heavy dose of oud in it. Whereas Elora is definitely holding on to like that really sort of like fruity opening that it has. Definitely, I would say the blackcurrant and the strawberry are very prominent in the opening of this. And then, you know, as it starts to transition, to me, you get that rose for sure. And it's definitely like a sweet kind of candied rose. You know, at least for me anyway, I felt like the scent that I would I guess more so prefer to smell on a woman would definitely be the pink mist. You know, it doesn't smell, pink mist to me doesn't smell as sort of like Middle Eastern as what Elora does. Like Elora to me, I don't know, it almost kind of has like uh the same sort of like oud smell that you get from something like Ombre Nomad. Like that's honestly, that's the kind of like smell that I'm getting from Elora. Now it's not going to be as strong and as pungent as what something like Ombre Nomad is. It's definitely a lot more fresher. This is, definitely the more sweeter fragrance than what Ombre Nomad is. And it does still to me smell feminine, but I would say not as feminine as what the pink mist does. Um, so again, I would say the Allura would definitely more so be for someone who's a lover of more kind of like Middle Eastern style scents, whereas the pink mist would definitely be more for someone who's more into like more Western style scents. Um, for sure, yeah, I would definitely say that. Now, I would say the pink mist does still perform very well. This definitely, when I sprayed it on my hand, which I didn't give this one a full wearing to be honest with you, but when I did spray this on my hand, it did last like a good 7+ hours, and that was with me like washing my hands like several times that day. So, I would definitely have to assume that this fragrance would still be like a, 10 to 12+ hour scent. And it did have very good projection for like the first probably 2 to 2.5 hours or so. So, performance on it seems to be pretty good as well. But yeah, man, I would say between these two, I would definitely, if it were me recommending this scent profile to, someone, to another woman, I would definitely recommend the pink mist over the Allura. Because the Allura is definitely the more challenging, sort of scent, I would say, to wear. It's definitely very kind of Middle Eastern. So that one again was pink mist. All right, so next is honey in Hudson Valley. So honey, and I'll go over the notes here first. So for the notes for Hudson Valley, you're gonna get in the top notes black currant and saffron. In the mid, you get rose, and then in the base, you get amber and patchouli. Now for the honey oud, you get in the top notes cardamom. In the mid, you get rose and jasmine, and then in the base, you get oud, amber, and vanilla. Now, this was one of those fragrances where I felt like the Gissah was the better fragrance in this case. And I'll have to spray it on again here to kind of get refreshed. But the way that this fragrance comes across, the honey oud, it is like very, very cardamom heavy. Which, I mean, for me, normally I do tend to like cardamom. But, I think, when I'm comparing the way that both of these kind of smell side by side, to me, the Gissah definitely smells like the better scent. The honey oud to me just comes off as like overly kind of spicy with the cardamom and a little harsh, whereas the Gissah is very, very smooth. It's very, I would say it's definitely the more kind of better blended, more higher quality smell. The way that the black currant and the saffron come across in the opening of this is like really, really nice. Like this, the Hudson Valley to me definitely smells like a kind of like upper scale type of scent, like an upscale unisex style scent. That a man or a woman could definitely wear, but you would definitely wear this more kind of like dressed up to an event or something like that. Like this doesn't really Hudson Valley to me doesn't smell necessarily like the most casual scent in the world. This definitely smells like a more kind of upper scale scent. And you know, it does still have like a decent amount of sweetness to it, but it's not like overly sweet. To me, the honey oud is a little bit too sweet, in my opinion. And like I said, the it's a little bit too spicy as well. Like the cardamom in this is like very strong. It's strong, but it smells like very kind of like overly sweet and synthetic to me. Is the way that you know the cardamom comes across, at least in the honey oud. Um, the honey oud to me comes across as strictly kind of like a wintertime scent. The honey oud from Surrati. Whereas the Hudson Valley to me, this more so smells like a all year round type of scent. Like this is much more lighter and more aromatic, and the honey oud is definitely like way more sweeter, denser, thicker. So yeah, I mean this like the honey oud would not be something that I would even think about wearing in the summertime, like not even at night. Whereas the Hudson Valley to me is still like light and citrusy enough, or light and fruity enough anyway, that I could still see this being worn like, you know, at night, even out here in Vegas. So yeah, I would definitely say that the Hudson Valley was definitely the better scent between the Hudson Valley and the honey oud. Now the honey oud, you know, just like the other fragrances, was still a very good performing scent. So, you know, easily 10 to 12 hours or so total longevity, and very, very kind of nuclear heavy projection, I would say, at least for like the first 3+ hours. So, like I said, this is definitely the honey oud to me is definitely more of like a wintertime scent for sure. Uh, and it's definitely to me not better than the Hudson Valley at all. All right, so that is the honey oud. All right, so the next one is Dolce Marina. So Dolce Marina, this is their Surrati's take on Gissah's Capri. So the note breakdown for Capri, in the top notes you get blue ginger, Italian lemon, and marine notes. In the mid you get apple, Indian sandalwood, and patchouli. And then in the base you get Somalian frankincense, amber, and Haitian vetiver. Now for Dolce Marina, in the top notes you get bergamot, lemon, and mandarin. In the mid you get orange blossom, jasmine, and water lily. And in the base you get musk, cedarwood, and amber. Now this was a fragrance that I definitely could say that I do prefer the Surrati version of the fragrance, even though the Gissah is, you could say, the more sort of higher quality smelling fragrance. I just did not like the way that the Gissah smelled on my skin. And I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't really crazy with the way that I wasn't crazy about the way that the Gissah smelled on like a tester strip either. The way that the Gissah Capri smells on a tester strip, I would say the best way for me to kind of describe that smell is, to me, it smells like some sort of like laundry detergent, or like the dishwasher pods that you put in your dishwasher. Like it to me it smells like something like that, or like some kind of like bathroom cleaning product. Now don't get me wrong, I mean, to me both of these, the Dolce Marina as well as the Capri from Gissah, they both have a very like synthetic, you know, style of like both scent profiles, I would say, are very kind of synthetic smelling. The Gissah is definitely the more natural smelling of the two, but I would say that I prefer the Dolce Marina for sure. To me, the Dolce Marina, it is definitely, again, sweeter than the Gissah is, but to me it comes off as a little bit more like fruitier than what the Gissah does. Whereas the Gissah, I don't know, like I said, the Gissah to me comes off as like some sort of like cleaning product or like some type of detergent or something like that. Like that's the way that the Gissah smells to me. And it does smell a little different on my skin. Like, to be honest with you, I don't even know how to describe the way that it smells on my skin. It just, I didn't really enjoy wearing it. I guess is the best way for me to kind of talk about the Gissah Capri. It just wasn't necessarily for me. Almost kind of smelled to me like, I think, yeah, so on my skin, to me it kind of smelled more like a bug spray or something. I sprayed some kind of like really fancy smelling like off or something like that on me. Like that's kind of the way that the Gissah Capri comes across on my skin. And like I said, just smelling it on like a tester strip, it still smells like some sort of chemical, but it smells more like a cleaning product or some sort of detergent, like I said. Whereas the Surrati Dolce Marina, this comes across as a lot more fruitier, sweeter, definitely more easier to wear, more enjoyable for me to wear on my skin. And it kind of has like it does have a slight sort of marine quality to it. It's definitely not that prominent though, because the sweetness in this is definitely amped up. But to me, the Dolce Marina does kind of have like a slightly kind of like salty marine sort of quality to it. Whereas the Capri, I don't really get like a salty marine sort of feel from this. Like I said, it just smells like some sort of cleaning product or detergent, in my opinion. All right. Now for the performance for the Dolce Marina, again, just like all of the other fragrances, you're going to easily get 10 plus hours or so of total longevity. And then the projection on this is actually pretty good for about the first 2.5 hours. So, at least about a arm's length. I would say really all of these are going to be a arm's length or more in terms of the projection. So, projection wise, these all perform very, very well. All right. So again, that one was Dolce Marina. All right, and then the last one on the list, this is going to be Surrati's Omniyat. And again, this is their take on La Luna from Gissah. So the notes for La Luna, in the top notes, you get incense, raspberry, and apricot. In the mid, you get gaiac wood, cotton candy, and sandalwood. And then in the base, you get amberwood, tonka, and patchouli. Now for Omniyat, you get in the top notes bergamot, passion fruit, and peach. In the mid, you get salted caramel, and then in the base, you get jasmine, patchouli, and amber. Now I'll have to spray these two again because I don't remember which one of these I actually like preferred between the two. I want to say it might have been Omniyat from Surrati. Let me just spray these two on. All right. So these are very kind of similar. All right. The Surrati is, again, it's going to be the sweeter fragrance for sure. Sweeter and a little bit thicker and denser. And okay, so yeah, I see. Yeah, now the La Luna is starting to change a little bit. Um, yeah, I think the Omniyat is the one that I actually preferred a little bit more than the Gissah La Luna. Um, Even though the Gissah Luna, like I said, the notes in this do smell very high quality, um, very natural smelling as well. Like the apricot in this is like, it's there for sure. It's very prominent, but it's not like overly sweet. Smells very natural. The incense, though, I would say is definitely, it's heavier in the Gissah for sure. So you really, I mean, you're not getting any incense really at all from like the Omniyat. The Omniyat is definitely more heavier on the sort of fruity sort of opening. I would say the fruitiness, you get like a lot of vanilla with this as well with the Omniyat. To me, Omniyat, it sort of reminds me a little bit of Ahmed Al Maghribi's Hayana, a little bit, the way that that scent comes across. Whereas the La Luna, like I said, the La Luna is definitely going to be a lot more incense heavy, woodier for sure. And you know, again, it's not nearly as sweet as what the Surrati is. Definitely the Gissah smells a little bit more, you know, kind of Middle Eastern, spicier is what La Luna smells, I would say. Whereas yeah, the Omniat definitely leans a lot more kind of into um, the fruitiness, the vanilla, and you know, just like the overall sort of like sweetness. Now, to me, Omnia is still, I would still consider this to be like a unisex scent, but it definitely is kind of feminine leaning. But like I said, I mean, I actually really liked Ahmed Al Maghribi's Hayana. So, you know, I would say if you like Ahmed Al Maghribi's Hayana, you would probably also like Omniyat as well. But yeah, overall, I would say for sure, I definitely prefer Omniyat over the Luna. La Luna. Now, for the performance on Omniyat, again, it's going to be over 10 hours of total longevity. The projection on it is going to actually be, I would say, probably the weakest really out of all of them. But again, it's going to be at least an arm's length, I would say, for about an hour and a half to 2 hours or so. And I mean, even though this comes across as like a sweeter fragrance, to me, it's not as thick and it's not as thick and dense as what some of the other fragrances are in this video. So this is still a fragrance that I would say you could probably wear this all year round for sure if you live in more of like a moderate climate where it doesn't get super hot in the summertime. This would definitely still be a scent that you could wear on like a cooler summer day or wear, you know, on summer nights, the Omniyat, while also still wearing it, you know, in the fall, the winter, and the spring. So yeah, man, I would definitely say that, you know, Omniyat, I would definitely recommend for sure, man. So that is my take on these fragrances. If you're looking for my thoughts on Atlantis versus Horizon, I actually did do a comparison video between this and Horizon. So definitely check that out on the channel. And definitely, man, let me know if you all have smelled these other Surrati fragrances, and if so, have you also compared them to the Gissah? And if you have, let me know what you all think about my assessment of these fragrances compared to the Gissah. All right. Also, I have links in the description to where you can purchase all of these Surrati fragrances. I would say right now the best place to buy these fragrances, price wise, is definitely going to be banadierfragrance.com. These 140 ml bottles from Banadier typically go for like around $36 to $37. And that's honestly the cheapest that I've seen any of these Surrati fragrances in this bottle style go for. All right. So definitely check that out. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you all in the next video.